Okay, hello, this is HispaZargon, and I am going to first of all to present you what I am going to do on these recordings. I am going to playtest for the third time the redesign I have made of the Dark Company Maxi Quest for HeroQuest. Okay, you know that the Dark Company was an expansion, let's say an expansion quest included in the Advanced Quest edition of HeroQuest board game, which was only released in Europe, European countries like UK, Spain, Germany, France, Italy, I guess the Netherlands too. It was released in 1992, probably 1993, I guess, more likely 1993. However, the original copyright in English had written the 1992 year, but I can bet it was actually released in 1993. But it was not released in the US, nor Canada, nor Brazil. So that was the main motivation for this project. I've been thinking about this for years, and I always thought that the Dark Company Classic Quest should have a good, let's say, a good redesign to be played with the classic rules of the American HeroQuest, which are different than the European ones, and in my opinion they are rather more complete and more, let's say, funny to play. So here it is. I have been working on this project since, I would say, 4 years ago, more or less. I started to think about it even more, 5 years ago. I started to think about it before the remake of HeroQuest was launched by Hasbro. It already existed an adaptation to the American rules of this Maxi Quest made by other fans, especially Phoenix 1 was probably the most famous, Phoenix 1. But it was just a direct adaptation to the American rules. It didn't add anything especially new, or it didn't add any hard fixes to the expansion. And the expansion had a lot of, in my opinion, problems. Today we know, because myself asked to himself, to Stephen Baker himself, about this, about why they didn't, for example, include a Ring of Brilliance artifact card in the, let's say, Quest treasure card in the European edition of this Quest. And he even recognized, he admitted that they had, MB, Milton Bradley at the time, had a lot of problems about, let's say, they had budget problems at the time, so they were trying to reduce costs as much as possible, so there were not enough money to include the card. Probably there were not enough money to include anything else new. They even didn't make any artwork for the quest book of the Dark Company, and they didn't create any new artwork, for example, for the Doom War Monsters card, nor anything else. So that's another reason why I thought this project was needed. I create a full redesign of the Dark Company, but at the same time trying to preserve as much as possible of the original taste and the original story of the original Quest. But to be honest, I was trying to fix all those flaws, all those problems this in my opinion, and the opinion of many other HeroQuest fans, those flaws that this quest had originally to be played. And I tried to fix all of them. Some of them were rather absurd, like, let's say, like restoring the monsters already killed after going back to the previous stage, because this quest originally was divided in 13 stages, not quest, stages. So that kind of absurd mechanics, which could be rather good for kids or whatever, but it made the original quest hardly difficult to be succeed. It was absolutely difficult in my opinion, because this quest was intended originally, and also my redesign, is intended to be played by just a party of heroes who had just completed the basic game system quests. So they should only have the equipment they got from the original campaign of the basic game. So they are not actually too equipped to face a so hard quest like the original Dark Company. So this redesign tries to solve all that issues and tries to make the quest affordable, starting from such hypothesis, okay? But at the same time trying to make it more interesting, because the original quest didn't have, for example, a conclusion. I have written a new conclusion. The original quest was so long. Now this redesign is divided in 4 dungeon levels, so it can be easily played in different gaming sessions. And there were some, let's say, for example, it included 12 Dark Company Dark Warriors, so the Morcar player at the time could be always placing up to 6 equally armed Dark Warriors onto the table. So if he always plays a swordman, the heroes will have a lot of problems. So I have limited that up to 3, okay? And another important thing I have tried to do with this redesign is try to make it to have the same flavor, the same style, something that could have been sold at shops at the moment. So that's the reason I have included some extra, a full sprue of Dark Warriors, a Chaos Warlock, and a Gargoyle. Okay, like in the basic game system, trying to emulate Kellar's Keep box and Return of the Witch Lord box from the US versions. And I also consider that probably the Dark Warriors would have dark grey color plastic, like the Frozen Horror ones. These are from the Frozen Horrors. So here we have all the components that my redesign include. These components, well, as said, I have been thinking about including a number of components similar to Kellar's Keep and Return of the Witch Lord, and wondering that maybe this expansion could have been sold in North America in a shape similar to what I have included here. Of course, the expansion would have included a full quest book, which I have redesigned. I included, sorry about the printing because I have some issues with the printer, but this is a prototype just to playtest. But I also designed a full alchemy shop, for example, like Kellar's Keep and Return of the Witch Lord, several rules. I wrote, well, this is the introduction, which is exactly the same and like the original quest. The quest maps, this is level 1, the one we are going to playtest first. As said, I have divided it in 4 levels. I would like to say that the 4 levels tries to preserve as much as possible the original layout of the quest maps, trying to be as accurate and as faithful as possible to the original classic quest. Okay, I was absolutely obsessed on that. And I found several years ago that another Yoli member who is called Pancho, so active member back in the day, not today, but back in the days, he was really active. He already thought in making something like what I have in mind. So I get his, let's say, his handwork drafts about the quest maps he had made. They were just done by hand, okay? He has an idea, a very detailed idea about it, and I took them as a starting point to make this project, because his idea was exactly the one I was thinking about. I was thinking exactly on that, to become this quest more playable, more affordable, more in the line as Keller's Keep and Return of the Witch Lord difficulties. Yeah, so I got those maps as a starting point, but I introduced a lot of changes because I realized that they have a lot of problems. Well, not a lot of problems, but they have some topics that needed to be addressed and needed to be solved to make this expansion, let's say, going one extra mile further, to trying to make this expansion like with the same level, in my opinion, as Keller's Keep and Return of the Witch Lord, like if it had been going to be sold at shops. So after a first playtest that I did with a good friend physically, locally in Spain, after a first playtest I did for the first redesign I made from the starting with the Pancho's quest maps with just some fixes, I realized that it needed changes. So I redesigned the overall expansion again. And around a couple of years ago, little bit less, it was playtested. Such redesign was playtested thanks to Kurgan and many other people from HeroQuest fans, Discord and Twitch servers. They support me on this project and we playtested online the full quest, okay? With those changes introduced, especially changes affecting difficulty, trying to make the quest a little bit more easy, not too much, but at least enough easy to be completed, because the original one was impossible. It was not affordable for a party of heroes who had just finished the game system campaign. So I introduced some fixes, and the second campaign of playtest, played in the HeroQuest fan servers thanks to Kurgan and his friends, it worked rather better than the first one. They even were able to complete the quest alive with 3 heroes, which was great. Nevertheless, during such second campaign of playtests, we realized again that there were some topics that needed to be fixed or improved even more to make the quest more interesting. And the result of that is this quest book, okay? I think this quest book, which is the third, let's say the third version of my redesign, I think it is really close to what I was intended to do with this project. Nevertheless, I want to playtest it again. I will do in solo mode, okay? Like I have done other playtests for other projects of HeroQuest. I'm going to do it on these recordings with hopefully in just 4 sessions, 1 per level. And here are all the material I have printed. Of course, I know some of this material is not necessary to play the expansion, but I wondered that maybe they could have been included in the final box. I'm talking about the Cash Warrior miniatures, the Cash Warlock, the Gargoyle are not necessary, and I am also talking about these cards, these artifact cards, Most of them are spell scrolls and the 3 special artifacts of this expansion, because usually Keva's Skip and Return of the Witch Lord included them on the back cover of the quest book, which are already here, of course, to be cut, but yeah, as an extra I included them here to play with them easily, okay, with the right size. And yeah, here are the monster cards, okay, for the Dark Warriors and the Doom World. Thanks to Alberto Macari, who helped me on this project and made some great illustrations, in my opinion, especially the front cover one, which we were working on that a lot of time. This cover took a lot of time. Okay, so let's start playing for the 3rd time this Redesign of Dark Company expansion for American rules of classic HeroQuest.